I, Dr. Ravindra Pathak, welcome you all. The logistic and supply chain aspect is vital for any business in terms of supply of quality raw materials and efficient manufacturing processes, as well as tracking, transport, and storage of the finished goods. Companies implementing well-designed supply chain practice are able to meet consumer needs in a more expeditious and timely manner. This strengthens customer relationship and loyalties, translating into the revenue boost and the acquisition of new customers through positive word of mouth. Hence, let's look into some key trends expected to affect the shape and development of supply chain practice in the future. So, I welcome to Mr. Sanjay Awasthi, sir. Mr. Sanjay Awasthi is ambitious and optimistic supply chain professional with 29 years of experience with leading FMCGs company, including Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages and Hindustan Unilever Limited. Currently working with Volvo Lines Cummins Private Limited as Vice President Supply Chain based at Gurugram. He holds Master of Engineering in Production Technology and Management from VJTI Mumbai, and he was university topper. He pursued certificate course in supply chain management from IIT Delhi and executive program in business management from IIM Calcutta. He joined Hindustan Unilever Limited from VJTI campus and served as production manager in food division. Later moved to Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited, served as factory manager and zonal head of supply chain. He executed greenfield projects and redesigned supply chain for South Zone. Currently associated with Volvo Line Cummins Private Limited as a VP Supply Chain. He is responsible for end-to-end supply chain management for Indian subcontinent. Operations spanning sourcing, planning, logistic, manufacturing, customer service, product line management, project management, and supply chain analytics. He executed network optimization and rationalization warehouses, conceptualized and redesigned supply chain in alignment with business requirement. Now, I want to invite Mr. Sanjay Awasthi sir for deliver the expert talk on supply chain overview and current challenges. Please, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Pathak, and good afternoon, everyone. So what I'll be doing, I'll just take you through the supply chain various elements. And here, for the simplicity, I'll cover the FMCG as a business model for the supply chain. Okay, so just moving on to 1 minute, just remove this, yeah. So let's start with the FMCG. Many of you must have heard about this or maybe knowing about that, but I thought it's better to have at least as a starting point for this discussion. So FMCG, as you know, these are the products which are sold very quickly, having a very high velocity and normally sold at a relatively low price. The cost is low. So it's like all the daily needs what we have. So what you see here, some of the leading FMCG company like Unilever, ITC, Marico, and so on. And if we see the spread of this entire FMCG company, almost 65% product comes from the food and the personal care. So this is just to give some background before we start get into a supply chain. So let's get into supply chain. So when we start the supply chain or to have any business, most important person is a customer. So you need to have a customer, and once you have a customer, and there has to be some supplier to that. So that is the starting point for any business, and thereafter the supply chain. So let's get into the definition of supply chain. It's probably a very simplified version of supply chain definition. So what it says that it integrates all the activity which are associated with the transformation of the flow of the goods from raw material to final product. So here, what happened in this process, all the raw material moves from left to right, which is from supplier into customer side, and then that is where it gets consumed. On the other side, what happened? All the financials that moves from the right to left, that is from customer to supplier end. And while these two things are happening, where raw material is moving from left to right, and then financials are moving from right to left, information keep flowing in both the directions. So this is a definition of supply chain. Let's build on this now. So we have seen these are the two extreme part. One side is the supplier, other side is the customer. So there is a purchase department. They order all the material what you need, and that is what it comes to a manufacturing unit. That is where this get manufactured, and thereafter it goes to various warehouses. And from that warehouse, it goes to distribution channel. And from their distribution channel, it goes to all the retail market. There are different distribution channels, and from there it goes to customer. So obviously here, what you see, retail plays a major role here, because that is the interface between the product and the customers. So let's have a look on the retail part now. So this, if we see the complete retail market in India is almost $1 trillion, is a quite sizable market for us. And out of that, you see 2/3 is dominated by the FMCG companies and groceries. And if we see how this entire spread is, you see the pie chart on the left-hand side. It starts with the organized, that is online, and then it comes to organized but offline, that is 12%. But 84%, which is contributed to unorganized sector. And when you say unorganized distribution channels, it is like a kirana shop, pawn shop, mom and pop stores, and so on. If we say organized one, offline is all the supermarket and then hypermarket and so on. And online, everybody knows that. So this is how this entire spread of retail. So having this background, let's get into slightly more in detail of distribution side. So here, what you see, there is a facility. We will move from left to right. So there is a facility. There, entire thing goods get manufactured, and thereafter it moves to a carrying and forwarding agent. And from there, it goes to different distribution channels like online sites, that is like Amazon, Flipkart, and so on. Then there are supermarket, that is modern trade, and from modern trade, product goes directly to customer. Then it's like a redistribution stockist. From there, it goes to kirana stores and so on. But in case of rural, there is one more layer of distribution. So it goes to a rural distributor, then it goes to some stockist, and from there it goes to retail shops or small shops or pawn shops and so on, and then customers. So this is how this entire thing looks like. If we just horizontally, this vertically, we divide this two part. One part goes to urban and other comes to rural side. So urban almost contributes to 55% of this entire business. Rural contributes to around 45%. But if you see the population, the urban side is a 35% and rural is a 65%. But good thing is that rural market is catching up now, and they are growing faster than urban. And probably at some point of time, we will see both are contributing equally for this business. Now, if we see the kirana stores, which is normal retail shop, what we have is almost total number of kirana shop in India is almost 15 million. A sizable, very large number, and you can say very approximately for every 100 population there is a one kirana store. So they are spread quite well, and 90% product are sold here is all FMCG products. So that is the presence of FMCG. So that is what I thought to give some background before we get into real supply chain model. So let's get to supply chain model. What you see again, 2 points, our reference point remains same. One side is the supplier, other side is the customer. So you see all the thing which happened between these two, supplier and customer, is the supply chain. And this has got 5 major components. So you see first is the plan, then it comes to source, make, and then deliver. And then at bottom you see return. So return are applicable to some of the company, not necessary to all the companies. For example, I can quote, for example, from the Coke, where you must have seen that glass bottle where product comes. So post consumption, to those all the glass bottle goes back to manufacturing unit. That is what is called return, and that is a reverse logistics. If you have heard this term, this is what it goes back. Other side, you see under sourcing, there is a return. So when packaging material or raw material which comes to plant and our manufacturing unit, and suppose they are defective and not up to the mark, then they all are entire consignment is returned to supplier. So this is the SCOR model. If you have some supply chain students here, I'm sure they must have heard about this. This is the model which was developed somewhere in 1996. So we'll be talking more about this model now. So just to check with Dr. Pathak, I think the speed is fine. Yeah. So let's move to that plan. That was the first element of supply chain. And that is where you see one side, all the customers are there. From there, all the information flows in to distributor, stockist, or online. And that is where this information comes to organization. And organization has a planning function. And in that function, it has a planning tool, because it's not possible to manage this amount of data. So all the information from the market, it comes to a planning, what kind of trend is going on in the market. So that is a kind of intelligence, or that is kind of information which comes to planner. And next is that there is all the sales history. There is a depending on the organization, sometimes 5 years history, 10 years history, and so on. And the organization decides up to what period they want to consider for to predict the future. So here the purpose of this planning tool is basically takes all the data from the past and predict the future. It's basically taking all the history and extrapolating it for the future. And when it's doing the extrapolation, it takes all the necessary information which is happening in the market. So that is what I was talking about, all the information which is coming from the market side. So those all numbers are the sales plan get tweaked and are getting corrected. So post that correction, it generates the demand plan. And that demand plan is normally for the 1 month firm and 2 months rolling, or many organizations will have a 2 months firm and then 3 or 4 months rolling, and so on. It's up to the organization, but mostly it is 1 month firm plan and 2 months rolling. So it's basically you have complete 3 months plan in hand. And this plan which comes out from the planning, it again broken into further plan. So it's like it become a production plan which goes to manufacturing unit. Then it's a distribution plan which goes to warehouse, and then all the logistic team. When I say distribution plan, post-production, this entire thing has to go to all the warehouses. So which warehouses, when, what product has to go, that is called as a distribution plan. And there's all synchronized based on the what kind of offtake happen, what is the minimum order quantity they have at the warehouse or the customer, and so on. Then one plan goes to a sourcing, that is a procurement plan. And based on that, sourcing has to organize all the material. So this is what is complete planning cycle. Now in that, this can be divided in two parts. So one comes, if you see on the left hand side, what has happened is a demand planning, and what you see on the right hand side is all the supply planning. So this is how this term, I'm sure supply chain student must have heard about this. So this is next one comes to inventory planning. So the inventory planning, this is all across the supply chain. It includes all the warehouses, what you have. So here I would like to just touch upon what are the KRAs, are the key result area, are the key parameter to looked upon within this vertical. One comes to forecast accuracy. Forecast accuracy is basically what we say and what we do. So what sales team has asked and what is sold actually. So that is a difference. Whatever that comes is a forecast accuracy. So depending on the organization, it varies. Some places 80%, some places you'll find 85%, and some places find as low as a 50%. So, and this is normally calculated at the SKU level. SKU, when I say, is a stock keeping unit, individual product is called a stock keeping unit. So at a SKU level. In planning cycle, this also address the new product introduction. market moves, there has to be feedback from the market, and there is a need for the introduction of new products. So that also runs through the planning cycle. And other comes like a portfolio management. Each organization will have a number of SKUs, which is varying from, it could be from 400 to 4,000 or probably many more. So every time there has to be review, and it's at a defined frequency, is normally 6 months, 1 year, wherein this all the products are reviewed for their viability. So whether this product are still relevant for the business or not. If it is not relevant, then there is a collective call to retire that product so that it goes out, because it's no more relevant, because each SKU or each product is adding the complexity to entire supply chain. So that is where this is being done, and that is what is called a portfolio management. Then on a stock availability is another one parameter. Availability means when someone orders what kind of stock was available at the time, or whether there was a stock out. So this one parameter. Another parameter which comes is like a production scheduling and adherence to a plan. And then manufacturing capacity, whether that is what planner also check along with the manufacturing guys, whether they have a production capacity or not. And there is a most important element which happened within planning is a SNOP meeting. That is a sales and operation planning. So sales and operation planning, what happened now, there are multiple plans to start with. So like sales, while planner will give one plan, but still sometimes sales guy will come out with another plan. So there has to be both the plan has to match. Then there is a finance guy. For him also there is a specific profitability for the organization, and each product has got its own profitability. So there has to be right mix to get that profit. So again, that also plan has to be synchronized. So when you have this multiple things to arrive on a common plan, so this is the forum, or this is a meeting where it happens, sales and operations. This is normally attended by all the senior executives, including sometimes CEO or the all the vertical leads for the sales lead, supply chain and finance and so on. So so far so good. Let's move to next step then. Next step comes to a sourcing. So here what happened, this planning function, as we have seen earlier, they generate the 1 month firm plan and 2 months rolling. So total 3 months plan comes. So this plan is given to sourcing function, and sourcing function has got a material resource or material requirement planning tool, wherein this information is fed in, and from there, based on the bill of material, this get exploded. When you explode, it means this is being disintegrated. So like for each SKU, what kind of packaging material you need, because to produce any product, you have a multiple raw material and packaging material. So based on that, this MRP is spread out that, and once it comes out, then it next level is basically who is the supplier for that. So that also comes out, and from there, purchase order is placed to respective suppliers to supplies, and it includes quantity, it includes the scheduling, at what schedule this has to come to manufacturing. So some of the key terms which are used is raw material, packaging material, inventory turns are the norms. And this is basically to control the working capital. And how to decide? It's basically depending on the how good supplier you have, and second is the lead time. So supplier reliability and the lead time, this two combination comes to RMPM inventory norms. Then other important thing which happened within the sourcing is a supplier relationship management, which is important when you have a very aggressive plan or a very good growth is going on. There has to be partnership with the supplier so that they are ready for your future growth. Other side is to manage supplier. And this is the need which has come during pandemic and COVID time. And this has really become one of the concern now, and everybody started looking into that. It's not only you need to make sure your suppliers are secure, you need to make sure your supplier also secured. So that is what is required. And during this entire thing, you see finance and information keep flowing in both the directions. So let's move to next, and that comes to manufacturing or make. And there is something most exciting and happening place where you have a very large number of manpower. A lot of activities happened here. So from planning, a plan comes to a manufacturing unit, and based on that, as sourcing is informed to all the suppliers, material start flowing into manufacturing unit, and post-production it start moving to various warehouses. So all the material, when it comes to plant, the logistic involved within that is called inbound logistics. So inbound logistic is basically when all the material is coming to manufacturing unit. And then it comes to opposite side is the outbound logistics. That is where all the materials start going or leaving the plant and it's going to warehouses. So that is what is the outbound logistics. Now, why this is so exciting place? Because one, of course, is the manpower. It involves large amount of manpower. So obviously there will be some union activities, employee engagement activities, and so on. And second, it has got a large number of equipments, machines, so many technology, and so on. So it's so many components are there in the within manufacturing. That's why it makes this place as the most exciting place. Over and above, there are a number of laws and regulations, right from Factory Act to Pollution Control Boards and so on. So those all the things. So this again adds another dimension to manufacturing. So what are the key terms, the key KRAs which are involved here? One, of course, is the capacity planning. So whatever plan comes, first thing to assess whether plant is capable to produce that or not. So this is a very obvious thing. But there is a larger exercise which happened, which you see a long term at a bottom. So whenever this production, this planning happens, this is while we are doing it's a monthly plan or a quarterly plan, but there is an annual plan. An annual plan happens once in a year. That is what is the annual business planning cycle. And when you do an annual business planning, many times it's a long range plan or a long term plan and so on. So then that time plan is prepared even for 3 to 5 years. So when that plan comes for 3 to 5 years, against that requirement, against that growth projection, capacity is checked, whether plant is still capable or not. If not, is there a possibility of capacity expansion within the plant at the same place or not? If not, do we need to go to a third party or a contract manufacturer? If that is not feasible, depending on the type of product and then area or the business strategy, what company has, there might be a new plant. So they have to plan a new plant. When if you have to plan, at least you have to plan 4 to 5 years ahead of time. So that is then only your plant will be ready and fully operational. And there are many decisions which happened whether we should be buying this product or should we outsource completely. So depending on that, where it's a non-strategic product where information or formulation is not very confidential, that can be outsourced. So now coming back to manufacturing, some of the key KRA is OEE, that is overall equipment effectiveness. It shows the productivity of the plant. There are many subgroup of that is like a mechanical efficiency. There is a line efficiency or system line efficiency and so on. So overall, what it says, I have an installed capacity of 100, how much I am getting out of it. If I'm getting only 80 out of it, so my OE is 80. So that is what it in simple terms say that how effectively we are able to utilize the assets. Then cost of manufacturing is also important here. So everybody who works in the manufacturing, they should be aware about the cost and they should be sensitized and they should be looking for the cost optimization initiatives and so on. And next is like a capital capex, that is a capital expenditure. So based on the need, technology upgradation, many times we have to replace old machine with a new machine which has come with the better technology and occupying the less space and then having higher productivity and so on. So this is make. So once this is made, then next step obviously comes deliver. So as we have seen earlier, there are so many distribution partner or distribution channels. So from there, this order start flowing in. So order comes to an order management team. And from there, order management team prepares this order and then it goes to a warehouse. And those all the warehouses start sending this material to next level, that is a carrying and forwarding agents at other warehouses. And from those warehouses, material moves back to a customer. So this is how this entire cycle moves in. Now here, what you see, most important thing is like order management team. Many companies, they have a centralized order management team. And then you have centralized order management team. Biggest, one of the challenge I'll say is to manage the languages. everybody knows that the number of languages which we speak across the country is numerous. So at least 20-25 languages should be known to this group when they are, and that is the uniqueness of this order management team. I can give the example of this company and or even a previous company and many other companies. You'll find the group of 15-20%, they are able to speak collectively 25 languages. So that is that is something prerequisite for this kind of jobs. So they take the order, give to warehouse, and from there, as I told, stock keeps moving. And if you see transportation part, when stock moves from company warehouse to different distribution warehouses, that is called as a primary transportation. And then when stock moves from the various warehouses to customer side, so that is called the secondary transportation. So this is two terms which are used in logistics: primary transportation and secondary transportation. And if we see primary transportation, this is though there are three modes available, but in India primarily we use two, that is a road and rail. Around 60-65% goes through the road and 30-35% through the rail. And if we see within the logistics or within this cycle where you have a logistic and the order management team, few of the KPIs or KRA which are tracked are a fill rate. So whenever customer is placing order, how many line items company is able to fulfill, that is what is called as a fill rate. So fill rate target remains 95%. At least the company has to have that. But depending on that, sometime depending on the company also, if it's but in a FMCG company, 95 is something which is expected. Then there's a warehouse management system which ensure how to manage all the inventory, how to receive the material, store the material, retrieve the material, load the material, and so on. So that is what it become like complete warehouse management system. Then when this entire thing is happening, there has to be this entire thing has to happen at the optimum cost, and that cost is called as cost to serve, and that cost is again something to be tracked and then being optimized every time. Then inventory obsolescence. Many of this product has an expiry best before date. So as a supply chain or as a logistic person, we have to make sure this product is sold before or get consumed before it comes to obsolescence or that expiry date. Normally, if we have a complete whatever total number of days, suppose if it is 100, so this product has to leave within 30 days. So that 60 days it should spend in the market. So it's like only 1/3 of that entire life has to be within the supply chain, and it should be leaving the last warehouse to customer's place within 1/3 of its life. So that is how we target. Then transport planning, and then loadability of particular vehicle, because that is important. Is the way we have a mechanical efficiency, which I explained in the machine or assets. Similarly, for the transportation, loadability becomes one of the parameter. Is a turnaround time for the truck become another parameter, and so on. Then it comes to network optimization. These are the long-term initiatives or a strategy for the supply chain. Then warehouse expansion or the automation plan. Many companies outsource this entire logistic activity, that is called third-party logistic, and so on. Now, on a network design, when I say network design is each company will have multiple warehouses which are spread all across the country. Now, every time there is a dilemma whether we have a right number of warehouse, should we reduce or should we increase? So manually, many times earlier this was done based on the available information and then based on the experience. But now there are so many simulation models are available, and I'm sure you all must have studied the operation research, and then OR within that there is a transportation model, optimization model, and so on. So many times those kind of models are used where you have a input like all the cost and all. Optimization is basically overall cost you want to optimize, and your boundary conditions, what you want to take is your delivery to customers. So while you can have one warehouse in the country, but your delivery time goes up, so that also you can't afford. But if you have 50 warehouses, then your cost of operation goes up. So you have to optimize this. So that is where you have a boundary condition where depending on the company, you take a target, you want to deliver X percentage within 24 hours or so much percentage within 48 hours and so on. So with this, as we have seen supply chain, but if we see in a broader view, many times this kind of exercise is done in a company to understand how our supply chain is connected with the other supply chain. So here I picked a very simple example, a cup of tea. And to make a cup of tea, definitely you need a water. And you see in the left hand side, it shows that treated water, and for that you need to have water treatment. So there is a water treatment industries which takes water from various sources. Then you need the electricity to heat it up. So electricity, for that there is a so many industry which is running like a generation unit, and then for that again inputs are required like oil, gas, and coal, fuel, and so on. Similarly, for the packaging material, you need agriculture, you need a tree, you need a fertilizer, and so on. So this is how this entire thing is interlinked. And for each business, when you say this is my supply chain and this guy's supplier, when we get to that supplier, for them they will have their own supply chain and so on. So there is a multiple supply chain get linked to deliver one cup of tea. So this is what just I wanted to give a very broad view. So many time company does this, and they find a value for the upstream and downstream integration, and in that they drive a lot of value. And when I say upstream and downstream integration, how it looks like, this is how it looks. So like it's like you have a raw material which is picked up by the supplier and delivered to manufacturing. Then from there it goes to distribution channel and then to customer. So here manufacturing unit remains a center point, and from there anything left hand side is upstream and right hand side is a downstream, and that is how this all get integrated. And once you integrate this entire thing, you are able to optimize on the lead time, the reliability, and when you work with them, you can build their capability, capacity, and so on. And here, as a standard, always material keeps flowing from left to right, financial keep moving from right to left, and information keep flowing in both the directions. Okay, so I hope you all clear about the various supply chain elements. So from there, let's move to what are the challenges we have. So we all know that we are living in a digital economy. We are well connected. Other day I was reading almost there are 75 crore connections we have in India now. So it is a well connected economy, and when this happens, so this is changing the consumer behavior and their demand pattern. So what happened in that? Consumers are becoming more demanding, and they are expecting a rapid deliveries. If we go back, say like 20, 25 years or even more than that, say probably 50 years back, when Bajaj scooter used to, if we had to go and order a scooter, and many times there was a lead time or the order period. If you book the order, it get delivered after 6 months, 3 months, so on. But we can't imagine that today. Here you order it and you expect in immediately next minute kind of thing. Expectation is like next day is also late many times. So it has to be now. So that is the kind of expectation has built over the period of time. So when consumer expectation is changing, then obviously business or supply chain has to align to that. Other expectation from the consumer is that they need variety at a right cost. And when you say right cost, most often is the least cost. So it's like at a minimum cost and a lot of variety is required. And this all are leading to a lot of volatility in the demand. And as I told in our earlier supply chain model, it looks quite simple, where we are saying all demand comes, planner plans, but things are quite complex there. When you have this kind of volatility in the demand, to matching it up with the supply is a big challenge. So some of the thing which comes out, while there are a large list of issues, but we can pick up top 3. One is that in many of the supply chain, there is no real-time visibility. So that is what is required. So once you know what's happening across supply chain, end-to-end supply chain, when I say from supplier end to a customer, what's happening all across. If you have a good amount of visibility, probably you'll be able to act fast. Next is the low forecast accuracy, and this is obvious because there is a volatility in the demand, so much competition, and then obviously it's impacting the forecast. And many organizations still they work in silos. When I say in silos, sales will work in one silo, supply chain in another silo, finance in another, and so on. So everybody is working in a different silos, and that is where many times you see surprises. So this is what I say. Things are changing, world is changing, consumer behavior is changing, and that is posing a lot of challenges on the supply chain. Now, how to address? So let's pick up top three issues. So we have a no visibility is one of the challenge. Then there's a volatility and uncertainty. Then working in silos, and of course managing managing expectation of the customers. So the obvious thing is that if there is no visibility, there has to be visibility. If there is uncertainty, then we should have a better system than forecasting. The conventional way of what we do, and we do the sales forecast or the demand forecast, that has to be refined. So there has to be some demand sensing, which can come to very close to real data. What's happening in the market, you should know immediately, rather than you wait for that information to come after a month. And then when things are in silos, we need to break the silos, and it has to come on a common platform. So these are the obvious things. So these are the challenges, and these are the solution. And once this is done, with that, obviously supply chain will have a reliability, agility, and effectiveness, and that is how you can get a real supply chain. So this is all is leading to digital supply chain. So the whole thing is getting into digital supply chain. When we say visibility, which is having a very large portion to manage, because our customers are well connected, so supply chain has to be well connected. So what you see, again, we come back to our conventional thing where it starts from the supplier, and then again it moves to distribution, manufacturing, and to customer. So all across. So there has to be a some common platform where information is keep moving up and down, so that all the information are synced in and available. So for that, there are multiple multiple submodels. I'll say. So like in supplier side, there is a SAP Ariba is one of the model which is available. This is a MRP, which I was talking earlier, material requirement planning. Then there's a smart warehouses, WMS. There's a track and trace for the transportation. When the truck is moving from A location to B location, this is a complete traceability. This is a transport management system. And then there are multiple front-end digital tools are there's for internal, external, which I'm talking. This CRM tool I'm talking here, order management, where now online you must have seen you can order what you need. You have to just go and log in and then order it. That is a CRM portal. So similar thing is coming for the many companies. They have that kind of CRM portal for their distributors. And of course, very good integrated business planning. So that is what is that planning tool has to be very robust because now to address this kind of uncertainty and then very demanding customers. So there has to be a very good planning tool which really act on a real time. Next comes on that forecast which I was talking. So here in conventional forecast, what happened, it takes all the past data and predict the future and takes some input. But while this is relevant at a broader level for the month planning, of course, you need this kind of data. But when it comes to day-to-day planning, there has to be real-time data, what's happening in the market. And that is what is called is from the point of sale, POS. From that, this data is picked up. And then this data comes to all the things at a planner. And then there are so many algorithms to process that data and convert into very useful information. Because you might have a tons of data, but unless until you convert into a useful information, it has no meaning. So that's why all the AI or machine learning is gaining momentum in supply chain, and most of the supply chain models are coming with this, equipped with this kind of algorithms or machine learning and this kind of features. So here, in short, that forecast which I was talking earlier is planned for the resource planning, but for the all the day-to-day planning, what to sell, what to produce, those all tweaking is done based on the demand sensing. And demand sensing happened, what's happening in the market. So for that, the point of sale or consumer behavior or the inventory offtake, and then all data are completely connected with each other, and that is where IoT is another term which is used, where all machine communicating, one device communicating with the other device, and then information keep flowing in. Many times, one more thing which helps is basically if you go and have a direct interaction with the customers and get the real-time information what's happening. So many times their input is also useful to plan the whole demand or your supplies in a right manner. So this, once this entire thing happened, that is what brings the agility. Other thing which you see in this two diagram and bottom one, conventional or a traditional supply chain is normally very linear, which goes in sequence, and that is a model which I have explained you also. So this is how it works. You get a plan, and then thereafter it goes to manufacturing, and then it goes to logistic, and then warehouse, and to customer, and so on. But now this has become, it's moving to next within the diagram you see in the right hand side, where everything is interacting with everyone. So that is what is on a common portal, where information is keep flowing in and out, so that everybody is able to take a real-time information and a real-time decision. Otherwise, in a conventional way, suppose if particular product is oversold in a one particular territory, for example, you have a plant in Delhi, and product is being sold in somewhere in Bangalore, and there is a oversell. By the time that information come in a conventional way, it takes weeks, and then this information goes to manufacturing unit. It takes another 1 week. So it's basically almost 2 weeks lost. But if you have this kind of system, you see morning it happened, evening everybody is aware about there is a oversell in that particular warehouse and particular SKU. So that is how you can bring the agility and the speed in the supply chain. Third, I was talking about the breaking the silos, and to large extent this has happened, and that is where there are in fact integrated business planning models are available in SAP and many of the ERP system, and many of the company, they have their own IBP. And when I say IBP, here you have a common plan. Here sales, supply chain, finance, and other function, they are all on the common platform. They have a common plan, and they are talking the same language. Otherwise, what happened when they work in silos, the sales guy will come based on his information with one plan, and then they sit with the supply chain guy. Supply chain guy will have a plan based on the planning tool which has come out. They'll compare and come on some common plan. Thereafter, this sales guy will go to finance, and then finance guy will say this plan is not right because you are not meeting your profitability target with that. So you need to change the mix. This guy will change the mix and then give that plan to his sales executives and so on. But supply chain is not aware. Supply chain is keep on producing with the earlier plan. And that is where this all mismatch happens. So obviously there is a need to have a common plan, and then everybody is to come on a common platform. Having said that, coming to very specific skills for the supply chain associate or for the students who are studying and then would like to pursue their career in supply chain. So a few of the things you need to keep it in mind is we have seen there's a digital economy. So obviously digital supply chain is the focus, and by this time you must have realized importance of that digital word, or how we use in supply chain as compared to conventional supply chain. So all the things are slowly moving from the manual processes, what you see in right hand side. So it's like then you have human assisted algorithms, like many places where you have some system, but there's a lot of intervention, and then planner applies their skills, their knowledge, and so on. But over the period of time, when you have large amount of data, it slowly will move to a machine learning, and then even when you have very huge data, then obviously that is what is a big data. You should have that kind of thing to process it and so on. So based on that, there is an absolute need to understand what is that AI, what is that machine learning. There are many courses are available, and I normally encourage all the universities to incorporate this kind of courses in supply chain particularly, because going forward, these are the skills which will be required. While technical knowledge or basic supply chain knowledge is a prerequisite, and that you should know anyway. But apart from that, you need to know this. So what I foresee in the next 3 to 5 years, things will get exploded. Actually, the way things are moving on technology front will be really, that will become a, in fact, survival. That will become one of the key skill to get into the job. So that's why if universities, they have this kind of courses in their supply chain academics, then good. Otherwise, I think they should include this in their curriculum. Apart from that, there are other skills which are required, is like a change management. While you have this all the skills, but when you get into any organization with your knowledge with this, you have a different set of large number of manpower or large number of your colleagues or your team members. So how to bring this change is another skill actually. So that is what is the change management. And now supply chain is no more a supply chain in isolation. It's integrated part of the business. Now this is becoming a differentiator. This has become one of the competitive strategy. So and this become one of the differentiator, I'll say. So supply chain is no more remain a conventional supply chain. It's very much part of the business when it comes to part of the business. So supply chain professionals should have some business acumen too. And this is in continuation of earlier one, that is the data analytics, because this you have multiple data, you'll be handling very complex problem in future. So you should read those all the complex data and come out with a very useful information rather than getting lost into the data. So this is these are the skill which will be required in future. So this is what I wanted to cover in short. So I assume this was useful, and then you could get it what you wanted. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Now that is the one question, that is the question answer session, and now that is the first question on behalf of the all the students. Then how can the students opt as a career supply chain management? Now our in our audience, that is the management and mechanical engineering students. So on the just basis of your experience, just guide the students for opting as a career supply chain management.
Okay. So in between there was some disturbance in the voice, so I missed that. So what I understood is basically how this mechanical student can opt for the supply chain career.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's quite simple. It's like I myself is a mechanical engineer, and basically manufacturing is one of the key in supply chain. And there are a good amount of supply chain courses available after your graduation. Many of the colleges, they offer a management course in supply chain. So if you're really keen, you should get into those kind of courses. And from there, now supply chain is a happening place. So all the companies are looking for a supply chain, or if they don't have vertical, they are opening it up. I'm not talking for the lead company. Obviously, all the big companies, they have a supply chain verticals. I am talking a company which are like a small scale companies. Everybody is looking for a supply chain associate in their organization. So post after your graduation, you can get into some management course in supply chain.
Thank you, sir. So now this is the question answer session. If you have a query, then you can ask the sir.
So first thing, just I want to know that whether the flow and speed was comfortable. I'm sure it was not too technical. I tried to kept it at a very basic level so that everybody is able to understand that.
It was very, very good session, sir. Very good session.
Parag sir, you can ask.
Wonderful session delivered by you, sir. I want to ask just one question, sir. What is the difference in between material requirement planning and manufacturing resource planning?
Uh,
What is the difference in between material requirement planning and manufacturing resource planning?
Manufacturing resource planning, yeah. So it's like when I say MRP is obviously is a material it applies is all the related with the raw material and packaging material which goes inside the product, that is what it goes is MRP. And manufacturing resource planning is basically what you have for all it's having a very broader spectrum. Basically it's include all the resources. It includes manpower planning, it includes your spares planning, it includes, because when you run a machine you need engineering spares and so on. So it's having a very broader spectrum as compared to MRP is restricted to only raw and packaging material.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So I don't know if we have any supply chain students here, or Dr. Pathak can tell. Do you have any this analytics also part of the curriculum now, or you intend to introduce, or data science or so on?
Okay, sir.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, I'm very thankful for your precious information regarding supply chain. I want to ask one question. What are the measures of performance for lean supply chain, for especially for manufacturing industry?
Okay. So as the term is a lean, so all the organization they can define when we say lean, how we are going to measure it. So one could be straight on a cost. You can say unit cost, so many rupees per unit. And that when I say cost, it could be manufacturing cost if you're working particularly on a manufacturing side. If you're working on end-to-end like manufacturing and logistics together, complete a larger. So again, it's like a cost to serve or cost to manufacture. That could be one of the criteria. Second, lean could be your on a response time. Cost is important, but for me, customer is more important. So how fast I can deliver it. So this is another thing. Many times there are, if you have studied lean, many those all those 7 8 type of wastages. One of them is the delay or waiting. There is a truck turnaround time, if that can be addressed. In a warehouse management system, particularly, there is a product retrieval time. Say in a particular truck, if you have to load 20 different product and to put that, if you're taking say 3 hours time or 2 hours time, can I make it to 45 minutes? And that is what is lean. And lean has got so many tools available within that. And based on that lean, they do either reorganizing entire stock. Second is that there could be a IoT which is available now, so you get a complete on your screen where the product is kept to straight go there, pick up and then come back. That is one. And second, the kind of material handling equipment you are using. This is in terms of time. Same is the case when you come to manufacturing side. How fast you can manufacture, because here speed is important. So when you do production, so mechanical efficiency is one, where you see what kind of downtime is coming and how I can improve upon. And second is a changeover time. So when you move from one product to other product, there is a product changeover time. So you must have heard that single minute exchange of die. So these all techniques are used, and based on that, the total timing or the mechanical efficiency, or you say turnaround time, those become your criteria for the lean success. And it could be some more. I'm talking the top two. One could be cost, other could be speed.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your precious information. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, myself is Ramjanam Singh. Basically, I want to ask you what are the nowadays where latest technology used in supply chain management?
Okay, so what I understood your question is what kind of technology is used in supply chain, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So as I explained, to start with, the IoT is a very basic thing like Internet of Things. You must have heard. IoT is nothing but those devices which is start talking to each other. So those IoT is extensively used in across the supply chain. This is right from manufacturing unit to warehouses. In a manufacturing unit, this is used for the retrieval of engineering material. This is used for the machine maintenance, where you have one device here and one device with the service engineer. They start talking to each other. Then there is on a for use for the track and trace, where truck moves from plant to warehouse. There's a live tracking whether this is followed the right route or not. On a warehouse for the product retrieval, and on a large warehouses, when you have say a 50,000 square feet warehouse, and in that you have some 10,000 SKUs. So while you have some arrangement by which you have put, you allocated this kind of A class will be here, B will be here, C will be there, but still within that, again, if you have to retrieve, so there is a RFID kind of thing is available, wherein you can just straight go to that with the scanner, and straight you reach to that place, so that it reduces the time. So this IoT is first. Second, I covered that artificial intelligence, which covers machine learning, deep learning, data analytics as a part of it. That is another thing which is being used, and this technique is used primarily for the planning, where you have so much complex and so many variables are going on, and so much data available. So it's used for the demand planning, and even for the logistic, for dynamic routing. Every day when truck is moving for to serve the city, are those different distributors, number of small distributors. So depending on that number of distributor, it optimizes the route. And many times, if there is a roadblock, or there is a road construction on the road, or there is a heavy traffic, so this all information comes, and then this dynamic routing thing correct the routes. So rather than taking on a heavy traffic route, it gives the alternate route by which truck can move faster and come back. So these are the few things, and there are many more, but these are the technology which are used in supply chain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, there is one more question in chat box. I can read you for you. During the pandemic, the challenge for companies will be to make their supply chain for more resilient without weakening their competitiveness. How can companies do this?
Yeah. So of course that was a this entire pandemic, and I'll say lockdown or COVID period was a quite challenging for the supply chain, and this was a real testing time to see the strength of supply chain, whether you have any weak link across the supply chain. So during this period, everybody has got their own way out doing. The most important thing was a communication, which was a huge where within the employees and with the supplier, and then to sales team, giving confidence to your customer that what's happening and what they will be able to give, what they will not be able to. There are a lot of product simplification was done. If you suppose have a 10 different kind of product, then to increase the output, those number of SKUs were reduced. Suppose if you have same product available in 100 ml, 200 ml, 500 ml, and so on. So it's better to have 200 and 500 and skip the 100. So many of the company, they move to larger packs during this period, because there was a change in the consumer behavior. Everybody is going for the large pack rather than a smaller pack. Reason was that rather than going to market or ordering multiple times, better to order once, because when you order a large pack or bigger pack, one, you get a cost advantage. Second, you secure your own supplies. So you want to see that food item in front of you at your home. So that's why you order a bigger thing. So that's why companies has to realign their portfolios, and they reduce the number of SKUs, so that number of changeover comes down at plant, and then able to produce more. There were a lot of restriction from the government to deploy the manpower at the manufacturing unit. So that time, all the company, they picked up employees with the multi-skill guys who can do more than one job. Then plant was running even during the breaks. Normally plant stops for the tea break, lunch break, shift changeover. So those all those were stopped, and it was running seamlessly, non-stop, and number of changeovers were reduced because there was all large pack. So that is how output was maximized. So these are a few things, and there are many more things done in a similar way in a logistics and so on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Participants, any more question?
Okay. So now I invite Dr. Nilesh Sahu sir for vote of thanks. Sahu sir, please.
Participant, the feedback link is available in chat box, so you can give your feedback.
Sir, please unmute to Sahu sir.
Yes, I now I'm able to speak. So thank you, Dr. Pathak. So on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering and Medicare University, I would like to thank Mr. Sanjay Awasthi to give us such a nice lecture and session on supply chain overview and challenges. Briefly, you described the element of supply chain, what are the main elements of supply chain, then you discuss the challenges of the supply chain. Also, you addresses the possible solutions for the supply chain and what are the future needs in the supply chain. That all you very nicely you discussed. And also questions from the participant say that this is a demanding topic in the management and engineering. So thank you for your taking time from your busy schedule. So thank you once again. It gives us a nice